You know, kind of one of the things that's happening in ice fishing right now is the tungsten lures are really catching on. You know, tungsten is 30% heavier than lead, but it's also a lot denser. The molecules are a lot closer together. So some of the things that tungsten has, but I still couldn't understand why the fishermen were willing to spend twice as much money on an ice fishing jig. The only reason I could think they would do it is because they got their butts kicked by somebody that was using the tungsten and they weren't. So then I had to think about the reasons why. Well, first, it's heavier. So I thought, well, it took the kinks out of their line better, so they detected a bite. You know, they should have been fishing with 4-pound or 2-pound line, but they were fishing with 4. But the tungsten lure helped straighten the line out, so when they jigged their rod, they got a better action. It made the bites easier to detect because they did that. But it's still, all of a sudden, my friends were all using with tungsten now, and they were already using 2-pound line and kind of doing this all right. So it had to be more than that. It definitely sent back a better sonar signal. When we fished in the weeds, we noticed that it was easier to pick up in the weeds because we turned down the gain on our sonar so that it still showed up well. Well, then it still had to be more to that, so I thought, kept thinking about in the evening, you've got one person fishing with no sonar and another fishing with sonar. The person fishing with the Vexilar is going to catch more fish. Now these fish they're coming in biting. It ain't that they're hard to catch. They're aggressive. They're coming and grabbing everything. But the guy with the Vexilar was attracting more fish because of the sound. Many of our lures that we have out there that we're selling, they got rattles in them. And what does a rattle do? It goes click, 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 click when you rattle it. What does a sonar signal do? It goes click, 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 click when it rattles. So we didn't even realize that we were attracting the fish with our sonars, hitting our lure. You know, the cone angle comes down like this, the lure is hanging in it, the sonar signal comes down, hits it and bounces off to the side. Tungsten, being more dense, has a better ping than what lead does. So it's a better signal off to the side because it's denser. So that was what I've determined has made tungsten as popular as what it is, that it actually helps call in the fish when they're in the positive feeding mood. You know, you could look at your sonar tables, and when you're in the major feeding times, that's the time that you want to be, fishing with tungsten or using a rattle bait. So there's something to think about if you're a reason to switch to tungsten.